All right, episode 21.
Episode 21, roll it.
Roll it.
We're back here at Colca Studios. You need a firehouse built, give them a call. The best commercial builders on Long Island. Download the Firewire app, available on iOS and Android. Go to volleyhousepodcast.com to ask us questions or send in stories or videos you'd like us to review. Also, give us a follow on all social media platforms at Volly House Podcast. Let's get into...
Disclaimer?
What?
Oh, no, sticker. Sorry.
We got a shitload of stickers.
Yeah.
I don't know how to distribute them yet.
I mailed a couple out, actually, in the last couple of days. So
Nice. Yeah, people asked for
yesterday and today.
iCommand board. Every video we see from a career department incident shows an incident command board on scene. Yet, in many NIOSH LODD reports, a recurring finding is a lack of proper incident command. As a chief in the volunteer fire service, your responsibility is to ensure the safety of everyone operating at every incident. Gone are the days of managing this in your head or on a simple whiteboard. The owner of iCommand Board, volunteer fire chief, took this challenge head on by developing a professional tool tailored for volunteer fire officers. These command boards are designed with size, affordability, and most importantly, accountability at the forefront. Packed with critical information and checklists, they're built to help you stay organized and focused at every event. Visit iCommandBoard.com today and take the next step in ensuring the safety and success of your department. And mention that you saw it on the Volly House Podcast and get 10% off your order. All right.
All right.
So,
Awesome.
a lot going on the past few weeks.
It's been busy.
Busy.
I got a full beard. I was on vacation, not playing fireman, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I got married. Kev was singing in Nashville.
I was singing in Nashville. I
Yep.
was having a good time.
No, Kev was having
Let's
a
just
great
say.
time. We put that.
CMA
that post
Fest,
up.
4 nights in the same seats, Nissan Stadium.
And what
Pretty
was the
awesome.
song that you were singing? Because we put the post on Instagram.
Should we tell people?
What?
I was singing Violent Femmes
Violent Femmes
in Nashville.
in Nashville.
Blister in the sun.
Kev was having himself a time. So
When I'm walking, I strut. Oh, okay.
we were.
Violent Femmes, is that what's going on in L.A. right now?
I do feel bad for all of them, all those cops and firemen, what they're dealing with down there, and the businesses and everything else. It's insane. I hope they're all safe and everybody's okay. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm sure everything will start.
Whatever your
slowing down.
political views are, I don't really care, but stay safe.
The
So-
Violent Femmes.
That was actually classic. So Phil, you were in Tampa.
I was in Fort Lauderdale, then Tampa. Yep.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Did you put stickers in both areas, Fort Lauderdale and Tampa, or just Tampa?
Fort Lauderdale? Oh, did I put them in places in public? No.
You didn't put one in
In
Tampa?
businesses?
No, because we
Oh, we
didn't
gotta-
spend much time in
Oh,
Tampa.
okay.
Gotta get 'em out there.
you. So I thought you said you dropped a few there.
I dropped them. We were in an Airbnb. I think I dropped them in like a restaurant bar.
Oh, and just like left
Like
them there.
Well, you know what I was doing? Like even at FDIC, I was just taught like we'd be out and I would just toss them around. I'd put them on tables like where there was crowds and stuff.
Right. Okay.
But I
you
was
gotta-
in the
you gotta
city of
stick 'em.
Tampa. I didn't spend much time.
I was under the impression that you would.
We're
so
sticking them on shit in Tampa
so
now.
then there's 2 stickers out there.
There's a few, more than a few.
I mean, Kev is probably just hammered
In Nashville,
Putting,
not
yeah.
They're not everywhere, no.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. There's one Volly House Podcast sticker in Montauk. So
Montauk, New York.
Montauk, New York. So if you're listening to this, you're out there. If you can find it, send us a picture of you with the sticker, and we'll send you a free shirt. And Kev, how many do you think you posted in Nashville? And do
There's
you
only
know-
a few.
But you know,
I know where they are.
Okay,
Yeah.
same deal. If you're out in Nashville and you see a Volly House Podcast sticker, take a picture of it, send it to us. We'll send you a free shirt.
And don't give it up to other people if you find it.
Well, it's only first come, first serve.
Yeah, all right. First come,
make,
first serve.
Let's
I
make
like
that a.
And we'll make this the common thing. If a host puts a sticker somewhere, you can win a free T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right?
And then,
gotta
Except for our own firehouses.
Gotta
You can't-
remember where you put them.
Yes.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I took pictures of where I put mine.
yeah, I got a picture where the one I put is, and
You can't use my locker in the firehouse, no.
yeah,
There's a sticker there.
yeah, no, it's only in those specific spots that we said. And then also, I know we mentioned it, the giveaway for the boots.
The boots, yeah.
From Original SWAT. Keep an eye out on our social media for the flyer on all the details and how you can enter to win a free loot box from Original SWAT. So that'll come with the Alpha Freedom, I believe they are, the boots. They're 6-inch tactical boots.
You didn't bring them here, did you?
No, I didn't.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, they're great boots.
We had them on one episode. I don't remember
It
what
was
number.
the episode with Tom Richardson, actually. We bought
I
them.
think it was 11.
Yeah, so we just got a little caught up, but now we're going to put that out there. And that also comes with a bottle, a hat, a tactical pen, which is actually pretty sick, and
There's like little
a
shit
bottle
in
opener.
the box.
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
that's all the stuff that's all part of that package. So keep an eye out for that on our social media.
Throw some stickers in there.
Yeah, we'll throw stickers in there.
It's a package deal.
Throw
Package
a stick
deal,
of
yeah.
dynamite. Throw a stick of dynamite. in it.
Throw a couple stickers. Those don't count either.
Yeah,
Did you hear what I said? I said a
Stick
stick
of
of dynamite.
yeah. All right. Anyone have anything else before we get into the nitty gritty here?
That'll be on. Did you say I'm gonna make a web form for that? It's for the submissions.
Yeah, and then when we put the flyer out, it'll have all the information on there, and we'll put the Instagram, we'll put the link in the bio, and then Facebook we'll put it on the actual post that we make.
Yep.
And then all the information that we need will be on there. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. All right, let's get into.
You got a submission?
I do have a submission. This one's actually pretty good.
Oh,
I almost bought a pair of sunglasses.
What?
I was in Fort Lauderdale in a sunglasses hut because I rented a convertible.
What, these
and
on
I'm
Drive?
driving down 95 in Florida.
Oh, so then you got the Porsche?
Yeah, I rented a Porsche. And one of the nights we went out to dinner, and then we were just walking down in Las Olas. You ever been down there in Fort Lauderdale? It's like the main little strip off the beach, which is beautiful. I loved it there. And there's a sunglasses hut, so I went in there. I probably spent 45 minutes in the store, and I tried on so many different things. And Cameron's just like,
You didn't buy
just
any.
pick something. Like, these are nice. Just buy them. Like Ray-Bans, like nothing too expensive. I'm like, I can't do it. I just couldn't make up my mind on like the style, and I don't wear glasses, so I was just like.
They're cheap
Interesting.
sunglasses.
Well, with these, Frontline Optics,
Frontline Optics.
use code VHP15 to get 15% off. It is summertime. Welcome. All right, suspended or not. This was a submission about 18 years ago, a few years before I was eligible to join. I was hanging out with a few guys at a neighboring department in Nassau on their second floor back porch. The firehouse backs up to a large set of ball fields. One of the guys bought out a homemade spud launcher, which we all took turns. Phil's taking pictures.
I didn't think you were gonna pause.
No, I had to. 'Cause I saw you reaching.
Did my thumbs up come in?
No, too late.
Darn, too late.
No one can see me. Well, whatever.
So one of the guys bought out a homemade spud launcher, which we all took turns firing off into the fields. As we were doing so, the back door opened, and 3 gentlemen in blue uniforms scared the shit out of us and asked us what the fuck we were doing. After explaining what it was, one of them asked to take a turn firing it. After firing off a potato in the field, a few loud, high-pitched screams were heard, to which the person holding the launcher asked, "Are you assholes firing potatoes at other teenagers?" You know what? Don't answer that. And all 3 jumped into Crown Vics and sped off. Follow-up, it never made it to the chief's office, and the person who bought the launcher to the firehouse may have been an off-duty member of a large municipal police agency to the west.
Well, nobody knows, so nobody's getting suspended.
But if you did find out,
I might have been involved with a potato launcher.
have you ever fired a potato gun before?
I haven't fired one, but my cousin had one made out of PVC pipes.
Yeah, that's
PVC.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
What I remember shooting one, I mean,
Hairspray and a barbecue igniter.
is that
hit
what
the
it,
button.
what it was?
Boom. Yeah.
Because they were like popular.
My
I feel
cousin,
like.
Oh,
my cousin
we used to shoot it into the cars, that we were going to cut up, and the amount of power, it could blow through 2 windows right through the side of the car.
That's so
My
crazy.
cousin used to use ether,
Yeah, you
Starting
can use ether,
fluid?
starter fluid, yep.
and it would freaking blow. Like this shit was, it was like a fat PVC pipe.
Yeah, you usually use like
Yeah.
a 2 or 3 inch piece, usually 2 inch, and you
Yeah.
stuff the potato in there.
It's
Yeah,
like
like
it's
a
like a
never
bomb.
shot one of those?
It's like
musket.
it's like a bomb. Like it's freaking.
Yeah.
Dude, it's loud.
I remember it being loud. Yeah. I remember, like I said, this is
You put the
years
clean
ago.
out cap on the end, you open it up,
Yes.
you spray some hairspray in there, you close it off.
Disclaimer: don't try this
Yeah,
at home.
don't try this at home.
It might blow up.
But I mean, this is just funny shit. Like, there's
Read our disclaimer at the beginning.
yeah,
of this.
there's
Yeah, don't
there's
do
a
this.
ball fields. Hey, you know what? Let's
That's awesome.
let's just take a potato gun and just start blasting them.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in forever.
I
So
haven't
when-
seen one in a long time.
This is,
I mean,
like,
you see the
interesting.
shooters now, like when you go to a hockey game or a baseball game, like they shoot the shirts into the crowd now.
Yeah.
But those are like air pressure.
Yeah,
They use air.
or do they use CO2 for that?
CO2 or air. Yeah, one or the other. But they pressurize them and then they shoot them. And they have like big ones and they shoot them up into the crowd.
Yeah, those things. I mean,
Similar concept. I mean, it's just pressure.
I think I was at a Ranger game maybe where
Mm-hmm.
they came out and they were, I mean, blasting these things
Yeah.
to like the third deck.
Oh, yeah, they go all the way.
And I was like, damn. Like,
And they have
yeah.
big ones like a Gatling gun where it just spins around and they
Yes,
just shoot
yeah, I
out.
saw that one. I saw that one.
It's pretty
for
cool.
sure. Yeah.
Try not to do that at home and do not get in trouble
So what do you think? Suspended or not?
if they got caught.
Obviously.
Warning. I
if
say
it-
warning. I say warning to start. If they hurt somebody, maybe a suspension. But
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
You know, but
I think
I'd say a warning on the first shot.
we've only had one, like that we said suspended.
True
for.
suspension. Well, like I,
think
said,
we-
I mean, you know, there are people that jump towards suspension right away. I think very quickly, and like I said, I'd rather keep people in the firehouse and give them some sort of social type of probation or something else. You know, I'd
Right.
rather keep them responding if I can.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if it's over the top, like you do something really stupid, then, you know,
Like rob a 7-Eleven.
oh my God, that was crazy, right? Steal the carpet.
I just threw this on our story,
Nice.
and then I said, "Ignore the beard. I've been on vacation. I'll still
yeah,
save you.
yeah, ignore the beard.
I'll still save you."
See, you make a comment.
Job of the week. I feel like
I
there's
haven't
been
been
a,
around, but
there's been a lot of shit going on.
there's stuff everywhere. Did you
No,
see that?
I'm talking. I mean, I feel like
there was
the
a car in the building. What was that? Nassau County had one, and then there was one on the South Shore.
Smithtown had one
Was Smithtown had one too?
on Main Street.
Oh, that one just went straight into the store.
Yeah.
It wasn't really damaged.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I
But
feel
there
like
was, there
most
was
of
one
those-
in Nassau. I think they had a multi-tech rescue response to, and then there was one on the South Shore.
Oh,
Suffolk
yeah.
recently too.
on the
Yo, did you
South
see this
Shore.
message yesterday at 11 o'clock?
What?
Kevin will like this. Brothers, this is Joe Downey Jr., grandson of Robert Ray Downey. You've mentioned Ray Downey, no? On Sunday, June 15, 2025, at 9:30 a.m., we'll be hosting the 24th annual DC Raymond M. Downey Forever Running Memorial 5K Run Walk.
Oh, on Father's Day, yeah, the
On Father's
5K
Day.
run. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Good find.
I'm going to post this week, so
Yeah.
this will be good to say.
Yeah, it's every Father's Day they do the run in Deer Park, Long Island. It's a 5K run in memory of Ray Downey. But it's a great time. It's kind of a flat level course, so 5K is 3.2 miles, I think, 3.2. And then they have like a big party afterwards. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, so he
So
said
you
as
can walk, run, whatever. They have a fun walk, run type of thing, or the run.
Says, as a special part of this year's event, the Downey family will be giving away one of Deputy Chief Ray Downey's helmets. To enter for
Wow.
a chance to win, register for the Father's Day 5K in person or virtually at chiefraydowney.com. Share this post on your story. I don't know what they're going to share. And tag 3 friends. Maybe on their page they have something.
Yeah, it's a good time. I've run it a couple times, and
Yeah,
it's
do it.
very local, so.
I'll share this stuff. And
So it's,
I'll share it on
it's
the
in the
Instagram.
morning. You
Perfect.
could still enjoy Father's Day, but it's a nice little
Yeah.
run.
I missed some of the messages because they're in the requests.
Yeah, that's
I tried
I-
to shut it off.
I see that too. Like sometimes people will reach out and it goes into like a request.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, and like sometimes we don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see any of that. You guys just
We
don't have
gotta-
access. You
we
got
gotta
me.
we gotta get you.
You got
on
me
there.
locked out.
You can log into it.
Well, you got
I'll
to give
give
me
you
a
the
password. There was also I saw today, just before I got here, I didn't get to read the whole story, but it was like in a rescue engine somewhere plowed into a Dairy Queen. So some sort of accident with a rig, but major destruction of a building. It wasn't on Long Island. I didn't see the department name. I didn't get a chance because I was trying to rush to get here.
Not for nothing, there's been
a lot of accidents.
of cars into buildings lately.
Oh, that's been always. You know, we talk about tech rescue and people say it doesn't happen, it'll never happen in my district, this and that. There are so many cars into buildings or minor collapses all over the place. And Long Island, I mean, recently there was a bus, there was cars, you had the guy in Deer Park that killed those people in the nail salon.
Yeah, that was
like a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, but it does happen a lot, and you should be prepared for what you're going to do and how you're going to handle it. So
yeah, for sure.
Important.
Drill of the week. So I'm gonna give a special shout out. It was and Phil, maybe you could find this in the messages.
Oh, I got to take my
sure.
glasses.
I don't remember when it was. It was one of the guys from Huntington Fire Department. They held that drill
Oh, that
on May 30th.
Yes,
contest,
yeah.
whatever.
It was
It was like, wasn't it under 5?
under
thing?
5. So firefighters under 5 years of experience did this all hands drill
Yep.
competition thing, and I think that is awesome.
Yeah. What do you want to know? I found the message.
I just figured his name or whatever because I remember him saying it, but that was the day of my wedding, so we couldn't be there.
Oh right, yeah. Shout out Billy Martin.
Billy Martin from Huntington, right?
From Huntington, regular
FD?
Huntington,
Yeah. Yeah. If you hear this, give us some insight onto how it went, because I would love to hear it. One of the fire departments that participated, maybe Centerport was it, but they had posted some sort of videos of it. But what a great way
Yeah, I
to
saw
get
some pictures and video. It
to
looked
get
pretty
like
cool.
young guys or just under 5-year members to come in and do something competitive. I think that's awesome.
I like it.
So I think that's like a good thing for drill of the week.
Yeah. Well, and then you had what was it? Huntington Manor had that. They got blasted because ICE was using their parking lot. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That was a
saw
whole
that.
big-
Yep.
They put the Board of Fire Commissioners put out a notice. I mean, police are always welcome in our firehouses around the country, and they took some backlash from the community, but it had nothing to do with them really. Just they were using the parking lot. So,
Municipal
Right. I mean,
property.
yeah.
but
it's
you
just
you
like-
got to remember that people look at firefighters very similar to police officers. We wear a uniform. We kind of work for government, no matter how you kind of look at it. So just be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. God forbid something happens. And I don't know when we're going to put this episode out, but, they're talking about Flag Day, June 14th, which is the military's birthday, which is a lot of stuff may happen this weekend. So just be very careful and look out for each other when you're out there, and just be cautious. That's all I could say with that.
All right.
I'm not going to go too deep, but
Yeah. All right. So let's get into Alpine Software.
can I take my coat off yet? It's getting hot.
Did anyone
Dude,
notice?
I-
Did anyone notice Kevin looks like the Volley Chief right now?
I was shocked that you still had that
Speaking
on.
of Spot the Volley Chief,
Yes.
where the fuck are you?
Yeah, get back
I got
on.
my shorts.
back
I don't have my
online.
flip-flops today, but I got my jacket open, ready to go.
Kevin's dressed command casual.
casual
Command
today.
casual right now.
But yeah, we're just going to try to get Spot the Volley Chief back up and running
Yeah.
somehow. But
Maybe get him on as a guest. Like,
don't do what Kevin's doing right now and wear your equipment.
just full on buff.
Full on buff. Is it the lights?
What?
I got to take this coat off.
It's got to be the
it
lights.
off.
These things get hot. You can take it off while I do this.
You wanted me in full bunker gear. No way.
No, every episode you're gonna put on one more piece of
gear.
equipment. Yeah, until you're fully packed up on air.
Do it like strip poker?
Is this
Yeah.
your
One piece off at a
is
time?
this your active gear or is this spare gear?
This is my car gear.
So is that spare? I don't know.
In case I need it.
In case he's driving in like another town, hears something on a radio.
Yeah, right.
I'm going.
Well, actually,
You
here's the
never
thing.
know when you might come across a fire. You got to be ready to go.
I have to give a shout out to Walton over at Thibodaux, Louisiana.
Oh, you spoke to him,
Thibodaux
right?
Fire
That's right.
Department. He, great guy. Just basically wanted to know what was going on down there. That they're having so much success. So he's going to get back to me. So you want to talk to a couple of the chief's officers over there and kind of get us some sort of a list of what they think is working for them that we can come on here with and get out to whoever listens to this to bring back to your own departments if you're having problems. But one interesting thing he told me, that fair that they have is older than Mardi Gras.
Really?
Yeah. So
Did you ever see the
tradition.
message from a guy from Mineola on how he approached recruiting and retention? Or I think it was more so recruiting. He sent a long, very detailed kind of breakdown of what they did, and it seemed to work for him. I'll look it up as we speak.
Okay. I'll just run through Alpine Software.
Well, before you get to that, with Thibodeau, did they invite us down?
Not yet.
I think we should go down and do a podcast from there.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd be down to do that.
Thibodeau, you know what I didn't realize? Thibodeau is spelled like Thibodeaux.
Yeah, would it be?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
with the EUX.
Yeah, that's that. That's that. Little, that's big down there.
OUX
That's
or
that,
OUIX or
Oh,
something?
yeah, something. I'm
It's
looking it up.
Cajun.
Yeah.
Like the.
I'm writing TIBIDO.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't find it. I thought I'd be able to find it pretty easy.
You're not going to be able to sound that one out. You know what's going to come up? So I typed it in the other day, and Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks coach, just got fired. He keeps popping up. I'm like, no, I want Thibodeau fucking fire department.
Volunteer
Louisiana.
fire department.
If you have listened to this podcast long enough or been in the fire service long enough, you probably know that 10 different fire departments will do the same thing in 10 different ways. Every department is different. Whether it's scheduling, permits, reporting, points tracking, inventory, or truck checks, chances are high that your department does it differently from the one down the street. Hopefully, you're managing most of this with software. Is your software vendor putting you into their box? When you ask for a small change to your system, do they just add it to the list, or do they get it done? Maybe you bought another piece of software just to get scheduling right. Next thing you know, you have 5 different vendors to manage your firehouse just because your original vendor couldn't make a small change. Alpine Software's Red NMX is the all-in-one fire software that fits the needs of your department. Their average customer has been with them for 19 years. Why? They have dedicated people to set up your system, convert your data, and get you trained. They have a US-based call and email support staff. If you're tired of, we'll add it to the list, join the hundreds of other departments that have switched to Alpine Software. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what these guys come up with from
it's great.
Thibodeau, because the one thing he mentioned that was interesting to me, and we did mention this on this podcast, is their firefighters respond directly to the scene. So they'll have guys that are chauffeurs, and the conversation I had with him, for whatever reason, they run very similar to departments here on Long Island. Just kind of how, like, you have substations. If you live in that area, you're responding to that substation, blah, blah. So their whole thing is, you get a fire somewhere, go to whatever station you're closest to, if you're a chauffeur, and get the rig out, and you'll have guys there with their gear.
You hope.
And
They have a massive
It may work for them,
geographic coverage, right? It's really big.
No, it's not a huge area, I don't think.
I'd have to look it up.
But it's very densely populated, I'm pretty sure.
What did Aaron say? That they had like everything from $1
Yeah.
million homes to
city to college,
to rural.
universities to rural to like real shithole areas.
That's such a unique one. I'm sure there's more across the country that are like unique like them.
Well, he explained to me too that there's departments, like village departments around them that don't have the same equipment they do, which is very similar here. You're a village department, you're not really getting great funding unless it's a budget is allotted to the fire department of a village.
Yeah, well, when you leave Long Island, it's a lot different.
Yeah, but just everything he told me sounded very similar to what we're doing here. And I know we mentioned it, Nassau, there's a couple of fire departments there. The members just go straight to the scene.
Yeah, it's good and bad. I mean, you got to really have a good policy on allowing members to respond to the scene.
Yeah, I mean, figure going down a tight tight street or something like that. Everyone's
Well,
cars.
I mean, you could block rigs out. You can leave your car running, forget to put it in park. I mean, there's so many different things that could possibly go wrong, or even having an accident. Two members responding and hitting each other, or hitting a civilian, and because when you're in your car, it's still considered an emergency vehicle when you're responding to a run. So you have to be very cautious, but you should have staging procedures, and you should
I'm sure
lock
they
your
do. I mean,
cars,
if it's
and
working for them, and there's
listen, if it works, it works. But you got to be very careful. The other thing is, one person should really not be driving a rig by themselves.
yeah,
It's
I
very, very, very dangerous.
I see that.
And, I get it. There's truck drivers out there that drive big tractor trailers by themselves all the time. That's their job every single day. This isn't something we do every day. So you got to be very cautious that you don't hit something or somebody. And
Well, also, you're driving a fire truck. If you have to go through an intersection, you don't have that other pair of
you
eyes
don't have
next to
somebody
you.
else to watch.
So,
So if you're hitting an intersection from the wrong angle, you're not going to be able to see.
right.
So it's very important to have two people at a minimum on every apparatus.
Yeah, so we'll see when they get back to me. They send me a list of some of these items that works for them, and again, we'll pass it along to.
Well,
everyone
and
who
hopefully it helps somebody else. And
That's
you know,
all
we
that
said
matters.
that we just got a recent comment from somebody. You sent it to me where the member said
Yeah,
they
they-
took it back to their department. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about,
And it's starting to
and
work
it's
for
starting to work in their department. So that is good to hear.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to work. Not everything. We don't have all the answers. We've said this before, but there are certain things you may want to try and see if it works. And this particular person said it's working for them.
Yep.
So
No, that's great. That's we
hopefully
love
we
to
get
hear
some
that.
information out of Thibodeau, and hopefully that'll help some other departments as well.
Right. So here's another submission I got. Hey guys, love the podcast. Lots of good stuff here. Was just wondering if you guys could discuss something on the show. I'm a 12-year guy on my 4th department due to moving. I started in my hometown, became a lieutenant, then captain by age 22. I'm now 31 and currently loving just being a fireman. How do you guys feel one should adjust to having experience, but less experienced guys having egos and having attitudes toward new people? I feel like I've adjusted well for the most part, but is there any general advice for these kinds of situations?
Advice for that person coming
So-
into another organization.
He's coming. He's got experience. He's been an officer. Comes into a new department. Kind of has to, meet these
You gotta
new
navigate.
guys. And there's some other young officers in there that seem to have some ego. And yeah, I'm sure that's going to bother him a little bit because
Right.
he's got knowledge. I'll say from my experience, when I transferred departments, I was a captain, and the next department I went to, I had to wear a red Proby shield, and that was
orange or red? Orange.
no, whatever you want it to
I
be.
say red.
I say red, yeah.
Some people say like pumpkin. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
I think it's
orange.
all different. I
Red
think.
is truck, orange is Proby.
Yeah, I mean, you get that too. But from my experience, like I had experience going into this department, and you're making me wear this orange shield on my helmet, which is supposed to signify that you don't have experience, which that was my only gripe with it. But at the same time, I spoke to the chiefs, and they said, look, this has been a thing for a while now, and I think we did talk about it on this podcast.
We did touch on it. We were talking about maybe coming up with a different type of shield or a different color,
Right.
to signify somebody that has experience rather than somebody who has no experience.
Right. So
because
from my
well,
my
like you said,
standpoint,
you
though,
you look at an orange shield and right away you say that person knows nothing.
right. So
So-
when I came in though, and I still had to do, there were classes that I had to take at this new department that I used to teach at my previous department. Now I went in there with just, hey, I'm the new guy. Like if this is what you guys want me to do, I'm not going to come in here and be that guy that's, I have experience. I was a captain. I don't have to do all this stuff. Just go through the motions, and if, however you're seeing these guys with their egos, if it's they think they know something, but you catch them doing something wrong, don't say in front of everyone, oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Do it this way. Just grab the guy aside, after the call, whenever you get back to the firehouse, and just say, hey, I saw you doing it this way. It's actually supposed to be this way. Don't want to step on your toes, but I didn't want to say it in front of anyone. I know you're a captain or whatever. Humble them that way. Humble
I
them with
wouldn't
the
say a
fact
word.
that. What's
If
that?
someone's got an ego and then they're doing something and just blatantly doing it wrong, but they are the way they are, I'm not saying anything.
Well, the problem with that is that like they're gonna do that shit when you're not there to somebody who doesn't have the experience, and that's how shit happens.
I
That's
feel
people
like
get
if
hurt.
someone's got an ego like that, there's only so much you can do.
I agree with that too.
It really depends on the person and how far it's going or how far it's going in the wrong direction. So there are ways to adjust. I mean, if you're new, like you're brand new, it's a little different than you've been there 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, because then you're fitting into the mold. But when you first come, you should just sit back and listen. If they're wrong and stuff, I would try to be very cautious walking that line. And
Yeah.
if you can talk to them on the side and say, hey guys, listen, I have a little experience with this stuff. Try not to put them down or anything like that, but, see if you can mold it that way.
Or ask from almost from a blind perspective.
Yeah, but you got to be very cautious. But yes, you can do that. You can go in and just be like, can you explain that a little deeper, without trying to embarrass them. The other thing you can do is, and I've gone through this teaching where, I was teaching with an instructor that wasn't that good at the subject matter, let's just say, and was saying I would come across and say, this is a good teaching moment or, a learning moment, or even just saying there are other ways to go about this or other ways to do this and try to smooth it out that way. This is one way of doing it, but also you could do it this way that might be a little easier. So you got to navigate it, and it's very difficult. Eventually, these people will get humbled one way or another.
Right.
They're going to have that humbling experience, and a lot of us go through this when we're young. We think we know, or we think we have all the answers, and you realize more and more as you get further experience and time in the fire department that you didn't know everything.
I'll say this too: you could also be the go-to guy, which will break through that ego barrier. Like if you're pulling up to a job, working fire, this guy's your officer, and he's not the greatest. Hop out of the truck and be like, hey, I'll do XYZ for you. That way he doesn't have to think about it. And now he thinks, you know what, I like this guy. Well,
that's depending on the department and your policies and procedures too. 'Cause
I get that, but
some
I'm just
people
saying,
have specific
right. But there's a million
duties.
different ways to do that.
Absolutely.
You could do it at the firehouse. The guy's washing his car. I mean, that's a little too much, but just something along those lines. Just get out ahead of it, and make it so it's, they realize that this guy's humble. He's not coming in trying to push me out of this officer spot because, again, I think we mentioned this last episode. You got those people that fall into these officers' positions that it's the power, so just try not to let it bother you.
Other things you can do too is and I've done this. I did it more when I was a boss, but I always carried around a notepad in my pocket, and I would take notes. And even other departments that I've worked with over time, I would just write things down. What I saw was good, what I saw was bad, or certain things, and I just jog it down. And then in the future, when they talk about having, an officers meeting or something like that, you write down a bunch of suggestions and say, we could fix things by doing this, or, changing the way we do things, or, it's hard. It's hard to make change. It's hard to get things done, but, you got to do it with a little couth and just be proper. It's difficult. You're not always going to win.
Yeah, for sure. You're not always going to win.
But you don't want to alienate yourself either, and, it's tough.
Yeah.
And some people, they look at you and they say, that person's a threat to me because they know more than me.
And then you have the
And
problem
that
too,
shouldn't be-
that one
That's a
particular
weak man
person-
mindset.
100%.
It is a weak man mindset, but
100%.
there's a lot of people that are like that, that they just feel that, this person is trying to do too much, or they know too much.
Yeah, and then that's the issue you run into where you're the new guy, even though you have more experience, this guy is doing it wrong. If you step over that person's boundary, well, he's known the other people much longer than you have.
Correct.
And
You're
he's going to
new.
start shit talking you, and then all of a sudden everyone's going to kind of be quiet around you.
Right.
Until another opportunity pops up to make yourself.
And that's one thing I see in the volunteer fire service too, is we don't know what everybody's experience is. We don't always know their background or, what they did for a living or what they've done over time, and even certifications. Do you know how many guys in your department actually are firefighter 2 trained compared to firefighter 1 trained? How many people actually have heavy rescue, or specialty classes? A lot of people don't, and, we were doing something recently with my department, and somebody's like, can you send me your resume, because we're trying to update training records, and I sent a resume. Guy calls me, he's like, this is really your resume? There's a lot of stuff on here. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know you knew, and I'm like, it's just things I've taken over time. So we don't know what everybody's experience levels are, or knowledge, or what they did for a living prior to this or that, or what they're currently doing,
You know what's a great feature on Red Alert or Red NMX? You guys have this too.
You can run reports on it too.
We could do that, but when you click to respond to a call, it says on the listing of responders, it says like your stations that you're going to, it'll say EMTB,
Yes,
paramedic,
Yeah, we have that on
driver, 1, 2, engines, 1 2 3, trucks, 7 9, whatever. And it doesn't say like firefighter 1, firefighter 2, heavy rescue, all those things, but
I
could be a
remember
capability.
years
yeah.
ago.
That's the way ours come up.
Hop
It'll say
hog.
EMT, and then it'll say E for engines,
Yeah.
B for brush
Right.
trucks, A for ambulances. We have a whole criteria, TR for tech
yeah.
rescue.
So-
But this way you could see who's trained and what levels.
Hop had a book of everyone on the tech rescue team and what their specialties were.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know
we
if
have,
they still
we have a
it.
Google form that tracks ours, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
All that
I'm
tech
going
rescue.
back a long time ago, like before they had any of this stuff in.
That's probably over 10 years.
Oh, for sure. But because the thing was, you would get a call for tech rescue, and everyone and their mother would come down for it, and they would start packing onto the rescue truck, and then one of the officers of the tech rescue team would show up and be like, you, and you off. You guys have zero reason to be on this truck.
Yeah.
And
And you know what's crazy? People will still jump on the
yeah.
truck. That has always blown my mind.
well, it's the same thing like you're going out of your district.
Yeah.
Like our department, we don't send probies out.
yeah, but that was
Yeah,
that was
we
Hop
do
Hog.
that too.
But it's very interesting. Like if we're doing a duty crew and probies on the duty crew, they'll take them out of the district.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Well,
Well, I think
it's a
that because the
loophole.
whole thing
It's
is
a loophole.
they expect like you call mutual aid and you expect to have a solid crew coming in.
Correct.
I remember one of the first mutual aid I ever went on as a probie. I wasn't supposed to be there, but it was Mateo blocked me from the officers seeing me. I was on the rig. We were heading to an MVA. We were on the engine.
Did he like stand over
Yeah,
you?
he stood in front of me. So, because my officer peeks in, he's looking to see who's there. We got mutual aided to East Northport for the dump fire, and he's hiding behind me. And then it's like, all right, take your crew and go there. That was the first mutual aid I went on, and I remember going up the hill, and our chauffeur made us all get out of the rig because there was like 2 inches of dirt between like the cliff and the tire. He's like, just in case I can't get through here and this thing goes over, I want all you guys out. And we made it up. But that was, remember a guy got airlifted because there was a methane explosion
Methane, yeah.
in a pocket. And I remember that helicopter taking off, and we watched it fly all the way to Stony Brook Hospital because we were so
were high
high
up,
up.
yeah.
But that was the first mutual aid I ever went to when I was
Oh,
broke.
that job of the week, Riverhead had that recycling plant.
Oh, yeah. it was
Like
a big
all
one.
along, it burned for like 2 days or 3 days, right?
Yeah, what was the deal with that?
I don't know. It
Somebody
was
saying
like
something-
1:30 in the morning, but they were still calling departments the next day.
I haven't been seeing stuff because I've had
Oh, yeah, the
our
testing.
new version, which we should have mentioned. We got version 3 will be out very shortly. Been
Yeah.
working for freaking, I think, am I at 6 months?
I think
Been
it's
working
longer
on it
than
for a long time. Version 3 of the Firewire app.
that. Yeah, so
But yeah, you got to be careful with that. What your department policy is, and there are departments that allow their probies to go out of the district. Some allow probies to go for writ, which I think is ridiculous. But you should have a little bit of knowledge and experience.
I
before
got
RIT
screamed
certified.
at by a chief when I was a probie because I was still taking firefighter 1, but like before I finished it, I took a railroad rescue class. And he's like, you don't take any classes until you're done with firefighter 1, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't know. Like, the guys just told me to. It was like a 1-day class. You went there for like 4 hours. They tell you, like, don't touch this. This is where you
Oh,
cut.
the Long Island Railroad class.
Yeah, I just took it just
Yep.
to be like, all right, like, I just want to get as much training as
Well,
possible.
they want you to zone in and try to stay solid on the Firefighter 1 program.
Yeah, and I
Before-
agree. I
and
get
not
that.
waste your time on other programs and stuff like that. And I get it, but if it's not going to affect your Firefighter 1, what's the big deal? But,
Right.
There are certain programs you probably shouldn't take right away. You should take some time and get some experience. And
Back on
I mean, personally, everybody should be trained in RIT.
the mutual aids with the probies, our rescue truck used to seat 8. So if we had a real big crew, you had 7 Class A's and you were a probie and you responded, a senior guy once told me one time, I think we were going around Ronkonkoma, he looks at me and he goes like, we got a lot of guys. He's like, go grab another helmet and don't bring my probie helmet.
Don't bring the Proby helmet.
He said, go grab a blue shield. He's like, get on the truck and stay with me. He's like, because you're coming with us. He's like,
I think is fine.
Yeah.
You got a packed crew. Grab a probie, bring him on, get him some
yeah.
experience.
Well, 8 guys is a lot. That's a fucking crew.
Yeah, that's a little
can
too
learn.
much. But
You
you
can
could
learn.
break up the crew there.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't think there should be 8 seats on a rig.
They got rid
I
of
probably
it.
mentioned this before, but span of control.
Yeah, from one guy to
5
manage
people.
7. Yeah.
So officer and 5 people.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got, that rescue truck, the old 389, that thing went down to ground zero for 9/11. I think they bought them. They called in all the Long Island departments. I think it was some park in Corona, Queens, where they stationed.
Corona Park, probably.
And yeah, they were like going through
I thought they
assigning.
were going to like Shea Stadium or MetLife or whatever it was.
I remember somebody saying Corona. It's
possible.
where
I
they
don't
were
know.
sending them, unless there were a couple different places. But
I was busy.
They were assigning engines to like stand by at each
You're right,
firehouse
certain
in the city,
firehouses, yeah.
and then they walked up to 389 Hop Hog's Rescue, and they're like, "What the fuck is in this thing?" And I think it was
Everything.
I think it was Murphy that
He's
was
the
captain at
officer,
the time,
yeah.
and he was like rattled off everything. They're like, "That's going to ground zero."
Yep.
But that
There's
thing,
a picture of that thing on one of the avenues with all the
just
dust and
ash,
everything.
just covered in ash. But
We said we got a new rescue truck in 2021. We were still saying there's still 9/11 dust in the compartments of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was dust everywhere.
Yeah.
They had the rigs in New York City professionally cleaned.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And, after it was months after they cleaned the rigs. And we had a problem with the fan. There's an exhaust fan in the rig. So, let's just take it apart. This and that. All this friggin' dust comes flying out of the thing. And this is like a year later.
Yeah.
And we're like, guess it was really professionally cleaned. I mean, it was a ton of dust.
Jeez, yeah.
It was everywhere.
That
No, you're lucky you still had a truck, right? A lot of those trucks
Yeah.
didn't even make it out.
Yep.
I think now South Country Ambulance has that
Out
that,
east,
That
they
truck.
have our old rescue. I love seeing it because
That truck was sick.
that thing was a tank.
It was a tank, and the thing is, so you could fit 8 people in there, but it had the whole walk-in.
So you can fit people in the
There were
back.
people
That's
be
like our
standing
rescue
just
truck.
like holding on like they're on a train.
Well, people are going to jump. Something like that. I mean, it's
People packed that thing out.
we learned a
Yeah.
lot. 9/11, we learned a lot. I mean, they have a true mutual aid plan set up now. And, like there's Nassau County departments that now have fittings because you can't even hook up to the hose. FDNY has a different thread,
I never understood that. Like not just FDNY,
Well,
but
even out here,
neighboring
right?
departments here
Yeah.
have they have American Standard and then
National
New York,
Standard and
National
New York
Standard,
Corp,
New
yeah.
York Corp.
So
And
my
it's like-
department's like that. The 4.5 on the front is National Standard, but the 2.5's a New York Corp.
Yeah.
And
he's got them both on one truck.
And
yeah, that's insane.
But that's the way most of it is. And 1.5 is the national standard, which is so the only thing that's New York Corp is 2.5. But if I go to Center Reach, their whole hydrant is national
It's
standard.
because different water district, right?
Different water
Yeah.
districts. But
Let
when
me
we
ask
get
you-
back into entities but some of the threads, when you actually look at thread count, and a lot of people don't go too deep into this stuff, but the thread has a thread count. So it's size and then thread count. And if you look at the FDNY thread, it's very, very close to the New York Corp thread. So, it's like, I think New York Corp is like 3.0 or something like that. Yeah, I think it's 3.0. And New York City is like 3.068 or something like that. So it's a close thread count. And I know it's beyond, and people are like, I never really thought about that. I don't really care. But there's things you need to know. Like if you go mutual aid, you should know what your neighboring departments have or how you can hook up to those hydrants or, and you look like New York City. Like, God forbid you do go into New York City, they use FDNY thread. So, now there's a whole mutual aid plan. They have certain firehouses in New York City have boxes with this equipment. So if Nassau or Suffolk comes in, they can grab it and they can switch the fittings and threads. And the same thing goes with standpipes in certain buildings. I mean, they're supposed to be set towards your department threads. But we've found in certain high-rise buildings that it's not always right. So we found
Is
this
that
at Stony Brook University.
Is that based on the thread the fire department uses or the water district?
Well, that's the thing. So say Stony Brook University, for example, it's a state entity.
Right.
They build their buildings certain ways, and we found over time there were certain threads that were wrong. So we had to have them changed so that we could hook up to them. So it's very interesting when you start looking at this difference between, pipe thread and FDNY thread and New York Corp thread and New York National Standard thread. And it's important to know what you're going to be responding to when you go to different. So let's say this recycling plant fire in Riverhead. You had fire departments from around me, Stony Brook, Center East, Selden, I think all went Port Jeff maybe, right around my department. We didn't go. But, they try to, as the incident gets bigger, they try to select certain places so they don't strip the whole
Right.
area. So they send those units all the way out to Riverhead. Well, what's the Riverhead's thread count? Or what do they use? So you should have a fitting that you should be able to switch over to.
So I saw something on Facebook yesterday, or maybe today even was. It was, you get the ads. It was an ad for Humat valve.
I was just gonna say that. Do you guys have UMATs?
The new one, yeah.
You have them?
I don't have it.
Because I
yes.
thought for sure Hopog was the only department. Like,
There's more and more of them out there now.
yeah, I mean, because we would always look at other people's engines and be like, they don't have to fucking lug this heavy ass thing. And I mean, it was great for
Whip
wrapping
it,
a hydrant
yeah,
because
whip
you would
it.
never have to worry about that hose like coming back around.
Mm-hmm.
Like those things were.
They even I know guys have tested it too with the UMAT. You literally just throw it around like this once, and
Yeah.
they drive and you're good. Where
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
sure
it's
without
so heavy.
Without it, you probably couldn't do that.
But there's a lot of things, we've learned over time. There's certain things that work, certain things that don't work. Some things are better and some things are not. And it really depends on the situation. But and you see this stuff out there. That's why it's important to go and look, even on social media and everything. Learn stuff, like car against the hydrant. You see people smashing out windows. I don't think we should be smashing out people's car windows. I'll just tell you, I've never had to do it.
You know what you
I've
should do?
always been able to go under a car, around
Okay,
a car,
but
back
you could
over
go
the car.
under the car and around it,
over
but
the top.
also smash the windows.
Well,
Just
whatever.
'cause.
But listen, they don't belong there. But
hit
anyway,
the tires.
there's people that have figured out if you take the elbow off the rig, off the side of the pump panel, and put it on the hydrant, you can get a bend.
I think most people smash out the windows because it's fucking cool. To
It's
do.
cool to do. But as we get further and deeper, there are cars now that have laminated glass all the way around. It's not easy to smash out some side windows anymore. So if all your high-end BMWs, Mercedes, all of those, it's like a windshield.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a Sawzall to break that thing.
And everybody tints their windows too.
And you're
so.
tinting
Oh, yeah.
windows and everything else. So are we wasting time?
Did you ever see the video of the guy in the city just beating the shit out
Yep.
of a freaking car? I was wondering, isn't there something going on that you're there for, and you're standing over here beating the shit out of a
Well,
car?
the thing
I
is
know,
too,
I
you don't
didn't
know,
see the video.
you don't know. That's probably not the first due engine. Obviously, it's probably third, fourth, fifth due.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
you have to get water. God forbid a hydrant goes down. You should have a backup hydrant or a secondary, third, fourth, fifth. You should be prepared. Don't wait till the last minute and say, "Oh, we ran out of water. Let's go find a hydrant." And we do this a lot. We worry about one hydrant. You should always be worrying about multiple hydrants, not one.
I don't think I've ever been concerned with just one hydrant. I've always had in my mind, because usually the dispatchers are very good, telling you, hey, you got a hydrant in front of the building, you got another hydrant in front of
Correct.
this number street, and usually the chiefs are pretty good with being like, all right, like I had a fire. I was a first due chauffeur for an engine. There's a hydrant right across the street from the fire building, and I stopped there thinking that's where the chief wanted me, and he radioed to me. He's like, no, I want you down there, like pull past the fire building because I want to keep this like way open for the truck.
Leave the room for the truck.
At which there would have been room for the truck, but
Right.
it would just would have been like a little cluttered.
Trucks belong in front of the building. Engines
Right.
belong down the block. Let's
Right,
be
but-
honest. Hose can go anywhere.
Right. So, but
Truck's
we didn't
got
even-
one or two
but we
shots at
didn't
a
even
building.
Hit that hydrant. There was one down the block. He had my engine pull up past the fire building, and then the second engine was coming in from the other side of the street. He had them drop hose there, drive up to my engine, connect the 5-inch into the engine, and supply us
Yep.
with that. We never even used that hydrant that was in the front, but like that's right there. That's the
I would sometimes even, if I see an engine in the block and, it's a tighter block, like I can't go around them for whatever reason, I'll turn the rig around, back in, and go back step to back step. And reason being is if they need a hydrant, I can just grab their hose and take off down the block with it. Or I can just lay my hose back, so like just go in the opposite direction. So, there's ways to do it. We don't back up much, but I'm very good at backing up. I'll back up the tower ladder into the block. Whatever it's going to take
man.
whatever it's going to take to get best access or get them water or whatever, you got to be prepared for it. But
I agree.
You should always plan ahead. Don't line up 6 engines in a block and leave no room for the truck.
I feel like people won't want to reposition sometimes too. You ever get yourself in a spot and you're like, I could adjust a little bit and just.
You should always position the rig.
Guys jump off the truck, they start pulling tools, and you're like, I still want to reposition. Like, I've done that, and I've just moved like a couple feet, especially positioning a turntable. Like, a couple feet could make.
Well, you should always stop short, let everybody take their tools off, and then you can adjust the position.
The big problem with that at the same fire I had, the fucking officer got out, left the door open.
Well, I was just going to say.
I was so pissed.
One thing that really annoys me.
Yeah, no, I couldn't move.
And I tell people all the time, you get off the rig, you close the door. You open a compartment, you close the door after you're done with it. Don't leave doors open, whether it's the front, the side, crew cab, a compartment door. Close the doors so the chauffeur can reposition the rig if needed, or take off down the block.
And just take a deep breath.
Yep.
Because that's a problem. Everyone's so hyped. Like, this particular job, like, there's smoke pushing out of the house, but there wasn't flames blown out of every crevice of the house. It's like, all right, like, we have a pretty good idea of what we have here, and just take a breath.
That's
just
it.
Calm down, close the door, get what you got to get, and like let's because otherwise you're gonna look like an asshole.
Right.
Because if you have a chauffeur that's nervous too, and this guy leaves the door open, and you drive off and you slam a fucking tree, all the neighbors are out there and they're like, these guys look like idiots.
You ever get the guys like jumping out of the truck before he even stops?
Yeah.
Freaking opening the doors.
Just close the doors. You have to. And I've had that many times, and I get pissed. Now I got to air brake, get out, run around, shut the door so I can move down the block or position to a hydrant or get the tower ladder in position. Like, you get off the truck, close the door. You open a compartment, close the door.
You know what you do if the doors are open? You just freaking put it in reverse, give it a little
done
back and a little
I've done
slam
it,
on
yeah.
the brake.
Slam the brakes.
Swings all the doors back.
Slam the door shut. I know. Done it. I've tried it and then still got pissed and still had to get out of the rig.
We had one time driving to a call. One of our compartments was open. We had no idea.
Did you lose anything?
Nothing fell out.
That's good.
Miraculously.
At least it was strapped
It was
down.
it was the what do you call it? We were just talking about it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Like all the adapters for the threads, they're all on the
poles,
the dildos
whatever.
they call them.
The dildo.
I think they're called
The
dildos
poles.
actually.
They're little poles. You slide them on.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're called dildos though. Like for real.
I don't know about that one.
Fire dildo. Let's look it
Yeah.
up.
But
But
they didn't fall out.
we're a lot better off than we were years ago. The old rigs
Did
that
shit
we
was
had
just thrown in there?
from the 70s and stuff, like things were thrown in there. The compartment doors didn't really latch or lock, and if the rig like tilted or just racked in a little bit, the door would pop open. So you'd be going around a turn, all of a sudden the compartment would open, and stuff would just come flying out of the compartment.
I fucking regret looking this up.
Yeah, why don't you just
Fire dildo.
Oh yeah, don't look.
No,
for
don't.
couplings.
But it's like a little pillar, a pole. You
A
put
dowel.
Or
Is it not called a dowel?
a dowel, whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
I think you just made that up.
Yeah.
I could have just to get some.
But
going.
like I said, it's very important that you position the rig all the time. Don't block out the truck. The truck has very limited access to make a shot at whatever building it is. And you're going to need the ladders. The ladder trucks all have all the ladders that you're going to need for the most part. So pick the right ladder for the right job. And, when we see a lot of these buildings now, it might be 1 story or 2 story in the front. It's 3, 4 stories in the back. If you're on a grade,
Attic
you
ladder.
need, you're not using an attic ladder. You're going to need a 28 or a 35-foot ladder. You're not going to have that on an engine.
You know what I do when I pull up the scene? I'm sure you do this too. Right when you're about to position, I give the wheel a freaking turn and tweak myself a little bit.
If it's a mid-mount, yeah.
I have a rear mount. And
okay.
all the ground ladders
Because the ladders come out of the
are
back.
in the back.
Yeah.
And I've been in a situation where there's an engine up my ass and you can't
Get the ladders out.
24
Yeah, you got to be like 20 feet back.
Yeah. But if you're in the street and you give it a little tweak, that angle by the spot where the front bumper of like a truck behind you would be, it's enough that you can get all the ladders
Correct.
out.
And with the mid-mount, you need to do that anyway because the cab gets in the way of the mid-mount.
Right,
So
yeah.
you always kind of position like
Give
a
it a little-
15-degree out so you can make that access, get bigger scrub area. The other thing, and I brought this thing along since we're on ladders, is my little laser measure.
Freaking laser beams.
Laser. But these are pretty cool we have one on our ladder truck, but if you're worried about if you can make the distance, know what the reach of your ladder is or, what it's going to be, turn your laser measure on, just point it at the wall or the building and you can see the distance and then if your ladder is going to reach or not or if you need to reposition. So it's pretty neat. It's not something you're going to use every day, but, there are certain cases where you're going to be like, oh, man, am I going to make it? Or am I too close to the building where I'm in the collapse zone or I can't get the swing out, Or even a tree, right? You're going to take it out of the bed and there's a tree in the way. Is the tree too close that I can't make that swing or do I got to go up and over? So these laser measure things, they're pretty cheap. You buy them at Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you want. You can buy pretty fancy ones. You can buy pretty cheap ones. I use this for consulting work, but we do have it on our rig, and it's pretty neat.
And if there's a buck in the backyard, you can put a pin on him.
Yeah, right.
That's for the scope. That's for the scope. Yeah.
Dude,
Count for the wind
randomly
differential.
thought of this, but it had to do with
Randomly, you
the
didn't
position, the positioning stuff. Did you guys see that video? And maybe you sent it to us, Kev.
I sent you a lot of
the
stuff.
The guy, it was the Chiefs car. he drove past like the house. Somebody had called like 911 for whatever. He drives past the house, siren wailing, and he stops because the people are outside like waving him back, and he like backs up to the house and then like goes to turn to park. And just fucking drives through a street sign, and sirens are wailing. And he went up on the lawn and drove through like a sign, and just put his fucking thing in park and got out.
Everything's good.
He must have been like, "Oh my god, I want to fucking."
Oh my goodness.
It just reminded me of that because like like that panic, like why the engine gets too far up the ass of a ladder truck on a scene. Like, dude, just figure out. I get there's certain circumstances, but
there's a lot of people that forget to hit the air brake. Or they hit the air brake, they leave the truck and drive,
Oh,
or
yeah, and they try to put in pumps.
They put it into pumps, but they forget to hit drive. So now it looks like it's in pumps, but it's not. So you should get used to doing like the same procedure all the time, and then this way you'll always remember that sequence.
Yeah, or the all-time favorite is the charging in the hose bed.
Well, what's that
that's
on?
terrible.
I'm not an engine chauffeur, so what? You put it in neutral, put it in pump, put it back in drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
So it's PTO driven.
Yeah.
So you got to transfer basically the transmission over to access the pump.
So usually
it's
two hisses usually. So you get on scene, put it in park, put the brake on, and then you pull it up. And
It's like a flip lever. Yeah.
And then you wait, and then again, then put it in drive. Now the drivetrain is on the impeller.
Swap to the pump. Okay.
Yeah. Because and that's when you hear like
You don't have a pump on your ladder?
No, just straight ladder.
You ever hear? For some reason, it always happens out in county. You hear somebody like they're just
grinding the
they
gears.
you just hear like,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, somebody messed up getting it out of pump.
Yeah. So it's different than generator PTO because like generator PTO you can
It's just a
click,
flip switch usually.
and that just goes. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, because it's Lisa, you're actually taking that drivetrain off the transmission and it goes onto the impeller because it's all
It's a
RPM.
secondary
It's
drive.
mechanical.
That's all it is. But yes, some people flip the switch, thinking it's in pump, and there's usually lights if they're working correctly. It'll say okay to pump, which means that it's already.
And then you put that back in drive and then power.
well,
to the
you
pump.
put it in drive, then it'll say okay to pump.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you'll.
But people go up,
qualified.
but people go up and they'll pull the tank to pump and this and that, and water starts coming out the line, but they're getting no pressure. They're cranking it up, it's going nowhere, and it's like, what happened? Well, check to
Or
see
the
if it's
crazy,
actually
the
in drive.
craziest thing is, and they do this with qualifying chauffeurs. They'll have you on a hydrant, and they'll have two lines out, like two hand lines, and the deck gun going, and somebody will kill the hydrant, and all of a sudden, like you're just sitting there, you're just chilling, and all of a sudden you just see the freaking gauges just, and the RPMs. The truck sounds like it's
Runs
going
out of
to
control.
explode. It's like you're on the pump panel shaking.
because there's no resistance or anything.
Yeah, because
it's
the
just
thing's
water.
just going, and you have no water, so you're like, okay, like,
A lot of the pressure governors now will start, let's ramp up.
and it'll give you the alarm.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna
stuff,
say, I'm sure the new trucks probably kill that. There's probably some type of like.
Well, you can't kill it because the whole premise behind it is, okay, you have a deck gun going.
The pump's going
two
to run
hand
away from
lines.
itself, basically. There's no
Yeah,
water.
but what is priority? Is your deck gun priority, or are the guys that are inside this building with the handline priority? It's a little bit out there because you're never going to be really in that type of situation. Being on one hydrant with two hand lines, one's a smoothbore nozzle, one's a TFT nozzle, and your deck gun's going. That's just an insane amount of water for that type of circumstance. It's either or. So it's just more so like, okay, how do you react to this when you see all the gauges, like the needles just flip, and then all of a sudden the truck, you just hear ramping up and start shaking. Okay, what do I do? What do I shut down? So that's the whole purpose behind
Panic.
it.
I think it's very important, though. We teach people to pump. You got to really teach them the emergency procedures. When things go wrong, how do you fix it? And there's a lot of different drills you can do for that. Like I said, go back through the paces. I put it in pump. I put it in drive. Make sure everything's right. Make sure you prime the rig, right? Get all the air out of it. If the primer's broken, what do? There's certain ways you can handle when you have no prime or no primer working. So there's different avenues, and you got to challenge yourself, and you got to challenge your people. So one of the drills I do, and I don't take a lot of guys out driver training anymore with the engine, but I would take a plastic bag, and I'd keep it in my pocket. No, I'd keep it in my pocket. And the drill is basically, when we get to the hydrant, I tell whoever I'm training, I say, we got to hook up to the hydrant. So whether they pick the hydrant side or they pick the pump side, whether you're using 5-inch, 2.5, 3-inch, I don't care what it is, doesn't really matter. When they're not looking, I take a plastic bag and I stuff it in the hose. And then whether it's the hydrant side or the pump side, I put a plastic bag in there.
Going into the pump?
Yep. So what happens is there's a strainer there.
Oh, okay.
So the plastic bag will get sucked up on the strainer. So this is a great drill if you're listening. You could try this out yourself. But I have them, hook up, put the plastic bag in there, hook it up, and then they charge the hydrant. So start them off on booster water, tank water. So they open everything up, put it in pump, start flowing, whether it's a hose line, a deck gun, they start flowing water. So now it starts getting low. I said, all right, they just told you got, positive water from the hydrant. Switch over to hydrant water. They switch over to hydrant water. They still have water for a couple minutes because they probably didn't change over the tank. So they just leave the tank open. So all of a sudden they run out of water. Boom, they get a little water out of hydrant. All of a sudden the plastic bag sucks up. They got no water. I go, what happened? I don't know what happened. I'll fix it. Fix the problem. Then see what happens. So, this is why I always stress you shouldn't just have one line coming off the hydrant. You should have more than one line coming off the hydrant, because if one gets clogged, you still have a secondary backup. So if it's coming off the 2.5-inch spot on the side, additional.
That was the big
and
purpose
the
of the HUMAT valve.
Right. So you have multiple ways to get water into the truck. So if this one fails because something clogged it up, I still got a backup.
Right.
So if you position at the hydrant, you should really outfit the whole hydrant and be prepared. The other thing is always keep that tank fill open so that the hydrant water is filling your tank. And that's the other side of it. So, they'd switch off the positive, go back to booster water, try to switch back, and, eventually, something's wrong. But they have to figure it out. So then I make them take off the side of the rig, and they see the plastic bag sticking there. And I said, this is what you got to watch out for. You don't know what's in that water main. And as much as we think they're clean and everything's fine in there, you get rocks, you get dust, you get nails. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what's coming out of there. So years ago, we had fire protection coordinators. There was a couple ex-chiefs, and they go around. They test the hydrant sometimes. And one day they had the hydrant fully open for a couple minutes, and all of a sudden a huge chain came flying out. It was somewhere in the waterway.
A chain,
literal chain. And if that would have got sucked up into a pump, it would have went right probably through the strainer, especially the new ones are plastic, and would have destroyed the pump.
100%.
So, but it was a thick chain. So we don't know where it came from. We don't know why it was in the water main. Maybe when they were connecting it, back in the day, they were cast iron. They were using a chain to kind of snap the cast iron pipe. Who knows? But it was in there. It came flying out of the hydrant.
It was those guys from the League of Shadows putting the freaking poison in the water main. They dropped a chain in it.
Well,
League of Shadows.
But whatever, you don't know what's out there. So
main.
you should always flush everything first. You should always have a backup plan, because God forbid if that chain did go into that pump, that truck would be done.
Yeah.
So and we've found rocks, and there was a picture one day of a fish. They were drafting, and there was a fish on a strainer. I don't know if you saw that. It was a couple of years ago. But you don't know what's going to come up.
They didn't have the strainer in the front of the draft hose?
I don't know what the hell happened, but
because usually you have a screen on those.
There
things,
should be a screen there.
Because those, if you have to strain from like a pond or something like that, the amount of shit that comes to like
junk.
that alone can wreck your engine.
But we've found many rocks that have gone through and stuff like that. So flush everything out and always have a backup plan, have a secondary hydrant ready to go, and God forbid something goes wrong, you have a backup plan.
Imagine you had to draft from like Blydenburg Park.
Nothing to draft there
Well,
anymore.
there's nothing there anymore.
Yeah.
But you can't even freaking fish in there.
Are they
without
fixing
freaking-
that?
I
What are they
don't know.
doing?
I haven't heard anything about
I just
it.
see it's fenced off and it says closed permanently.
No. That's Bill Richards Park.
Oh, that's the other one?
So Blydenburg Park's a county park. That's still open. Bill Richards was a state park. That
Right, separate.
closed because it had something to do with the new Smithtown Welcome Center on the other side. So
Oh, okay.
Something
Yeah,
about
it
they
used to be-
sold the
used to be a-
property.
Used to be a strip club. They knocked it down.
But was that the lake that was...
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lake the Stump Pond, which was Blydenburg. That's
Right.
the one that got drained.
Bill
'cause
Richards-
all
Drained
those-
out.
All
Yeah.
those
Oh, they fixed it?
the what do you call it? The dams were like
Right.
100 years
Yeah,
old.
they
and
collapsed.
broke.
Yeah.
But I don't. I
Like
haven't
Stony
heard
Brook Harbor.
anything.
Stony Brook Harbor.
Yeah, that was another
It's a mess.
disaster.
Bill Richards Park it was attached to Blydenburg. I think it might have been state. It was just like a very small area.
Yeah, but you could walk from one to the other, right? You could
you had
walk
to go
it.
through a gate though.
Yeah.
It was kind of separate.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
But they like sold it, and it was something to do with the properties, and they just gave it back, like sold it, gave it back, whatever. But it's closed now. But Blydenburg's still open. That's down farther by, close to the precinct.
Yeah, a little further
the
down.
thing with drafting though is once you're done drafting, you have to go to a hydrant and just
You should
have to
flush
flush your
everything. Yeah,
entire
you should.
thing out.
You should.
Especially if it's like
Salt water,
salt water.
definitely.
Salt water will absolutely ruin the insides of a engine pump
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. You got to be prepared with that stuff, but...
Yeah.
You know, training and challenging yourself, I think, is very important, regardless what operation you're doing, whether it's driving, you know, these cone courses are very important of how to maneuver and get comfortable with your rig, but also when you get into pumping and laddering and everything else, you know, test yourself, you know, don't just go to a commercial property and set up in a corner and say, hey, I can put a ladder up. Challenge yourself. Go to somebody's house, a driveway where there's trees and stuff, and put the ladder through the middle, or, you know, see how you can position the rig to get the best access or the best scrub area. Like, try different things. You know, when I go into shopping centers, I try not to pull right in front of the store. I try to go like one step out, one row out in the parking lot, because the ladder's too close if I'm that close. And even the engine, I'm not going to park in position in the collapse zone. Like, you're going to be out, like, if there is a real fire.
And a lot of those places too have those like the fake.
Yeah, facade and
facade,
parapets
yeah.
and everything else, and you know, but you know, got to get used to this stuff, and making access on and off a ladder. You just have to practice. You got to challenge. You got to get out of the firehouse and see what's out there in your district.
Yeah. And Phil, we'll talk truck shit next time.
For
I know
sure.
a lot of engine
Well, we
talk.
talked
Phil,
we talked
about
a little
ladders.
bit about
Phil's
ladders,
sleeping.
but we could talk more about laddering, positioning. And,
Yeah, no, we can talk
Ladder me up.
talk about anything.
well, we're gonna have a guest hopefully next week.
Yeah.
Next week or the week after, we'll have the guests.
Yeah, either way, we'll have
We
a
have
show.
a few guests lined up, and we're going to get some more information out there, and keep sending us some information about your department or what you want us to talk about, and we'll try to hit on it as best we can. And
Yeah.
keep
Check out that
passing on
5K,
information.
the Ray Downey 5K.
Ray Downey 5K
Did you
this
put
weekend.
that up or no?
I just discovered it while we are sitting here.
Oh, I didn't. I thought you said you were putting it up.
June 15th.
I'm going to post everything.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay.
And
I'm
if
gonna
you're
pu-
on
I'll-
Long Island too, this Saturday, Flag Day, we're having a ceremony in Setauket. We expanded our 9/11 memorial, so we have unit heads, FDNY chief of departments coming. There's the director from the FBI coming, NYPD, all these different agencies, MTA, Nassau, Suffolk. But if you're on the island and you want to come, 10 a.m. this Saturday, we just expanded our 9/11 memorial. We added the names of over 800 people that have died since 9/11 of 9/11 related illnesses, and we're going to read off all the names of those people. So if you want to come, Class A uniform, 10 a.m., Setauket Firehouse, Nichols Road. More than welcome to attend. We might get some rain, but it is what it is. But it's a nice little expansion to the memorial that we have there.
Cool.
All right, cool.
All right. Is that it?
I think that's a
About
wrap.
wraps it up.
Episode 21.
2-1.
21 already.
Roll it.
Yep.